Hey there, Croeso nôl. Welcome back. It's the middle of July and here on our off-grid homestead we are enjoying a glorious summer and we are starting our harvest season. Now, we grow most of our own food here and we do that totally naturally without any external inputs. Bear in mind we're 175 metres above sea level on land that is conventionally classified as hill farming, upland grazing. In fact, this was just 15 years ago one big sheep field. And we grow our own food and we do it successfully because we design and we maintain our ecosystems very carefully. And that is very much a process of learning to listen to the land. You see, on one level, we're kind of like explorers. We're growing unusual crops in unconventional ways. And our success is dependent on our ability to enter into a dialogue with the land, with the plants and with the animals. And today I'm going to be sharing a bit of what that dialogue looks like, and I'm going to be using our blueberry patch as a model. Come with me. This is our blueberry patch. We've got about 100 bushes here. They were planted 15 years ago. They cover an area of approximately 600 square metres. The topsoil here is naturally thin and acidic, which lends itself to these bushes. The harvest varies year to year, something between 100 kilos and 200 kilos. This year is a relatively fallow year. Now, when we bought the bushes, they were very little, and we planted them here. None of the shelter belts that you see behind me had grown, and so this was part of one larger, big windswept field. And in order to keep the bushes alive, we had to triple stake every one. Now that the shelter belts have grown, that creates a microclimate, a protective envelope, and that makes all the difference. Let me show you how much. Now the bushes on this side of the blueberry patch were planted at the same time as those other bushes, and you can see they're much smaller, and it's all down to microclimate. On this side, the bushes, because of the lay of the land, have been exposed to the easterlies, and the easterly winds can be cold and they can be fierce, and that has limited their growth. Creating beneficial microclimates is key to success, and it's going to become more and more important as time goes on. As the climate heats up, there's more and more energy in the weather patterns, and that creates more and more wind and stronger storms. So to create a good microclimate, we plant windbreaks in front and also behind the crops, and that's what lifts the wind and creates these nice warm pockets. And we use a combination of deciduous shrubs and trees and coniferous shrubs and trees, because that gives us protection both summer and winter. We planted a whole arc of larch trees at the same time as when we planted those blueberry bushes. We did it to create a supportive microclimate. We planted them behind because we didn't want them shading the blueberries. We just wanted them to lift the wind. Unfortunately, here in Wales, there's this disease called remorum, which is taking out most of the larch trees. Here we've lost about 2/3 of our larches, and when they succumb to the disease, we cut them down, and as a bonus, we get the firewood. Now, fortunately, we had the foresight to see this coming, and we planted an understory crop of Douglas fir, which are now fully established and in time will take the place of the larch trees. Now, the thing is that the remorum disease doesn't just affect larch trees, it also affects sweet chestnut and blueberry. This bush here has been compromised by the remorum disease. You can see this year there's barely any fruit on it at all. Now, I will give this bush a hard prune, and all being well it'll recover, but it might not. I may have to remove it. And what do I do then? Do I plant another blueberry here, or do I diversify? Another challenge with growing blueberries is birds. In particular, blackbirds love eating blueberries. I have observed over the years that if I do nothing, if I just ignore the birds, then they can take up to 50% of my crop. What I've learned though is that if I can claim the territory, if I do a circuit of the blueberry patch once or even twice a day, chasing the birds away, it makes them wary and jumpy and much less inclined to come and take the fruit. And that way I can reduce my losses by up to half. I don't know how long these blueberry bushes are going to live for. 25, 30 years. I can increase their longevity with the right mulch and with good pruning, but sooner or later I am going to have to start thinking about succession. It's not going to make sense for me to plant blueberries here when these ones are finished. the nature of soil chemistry is such that it does not support planting the same crop in the same place time and time again. That goes for whether you're growing annual vegetables or slow growth timber crops. In the meantime, I make the most of opportunities as they arise. Here, above the blueberry bushes, just in front of the shelter belt, I've got some little niches within the microclimate occurring. And so I'm keen to make the most of those. And so I'm planting some forest garden crops here. This one here is a butternut tree. And behind me, you can see a honeyberry bush. Here, on the lower side of the blueberry patch, we've got a different set of design issues evolving. When we began 15 years ago, we planted a row of conifers along here to provide a quick windbreak for the young bushes. And for the first 10 years that worked really well, but then they started to shade the blueberry bushes, so we took them out. And that gave us a crop of firewood, happy days. And in the meantime, the hedge behind has grown up, and that windbreak is now casting shade on the blueberries. And so this winter I'm going to lay this hedge in order to reduce the shade. That will thicken up the windbreak as well. Here's the thing though, there's some really nice oak trees in this hedge that would make really beautiful standards. Now, the oak is a very special tree. It provides an anchor for native biodiversity. And so at the moment I'm inclining towards keeping at least one oak standard in this hedgerow line, which is a bit of a compromise arrangement because that will reduce some of my blueberry crop, but it will increase the biodiversity capacity of the patch. And so hopefully that gives a little bit of insight into the nature of the dialogue that goes on for us as land stewards. To design and maintain a landscape in which human beings live as part of a wider ecology is an intricate balancing act. It requires careful observation and deep listening. And in order to do that, we have to slow down. We have to still our restless minds and welcome in that peaceful resonance that permeates through the natural world. If you've enjoyed this video, check out our other off-grid homesteading offers at www.lamasearthcentre.co.uk.